intro this. Hello, guys. Welcome to FGs and Knees. This is a little side podcast, a little mini podcast off of the regular FGs and threes. We're going over all the UFC info, everything that went on in the UFC 261 card. Usman, Masvidal, Rose, Weili, Shevchenko, and the Brazilian dude. That was a dude. I don't care what anyone tells me. That was a dude. Uriah Hall and Weidman. I mean, just a bunch of great fights. Jimmy Crute, Anthony Smith, a bunch of great fights. What do you have to say, Ryan? What do you want to lead off with?
Well, I think we need to lead off with the the fight that scared a lot of people, the Chris Weidman Uriah Hall fight.
Yeah.
I mean, I was really pumped to see that fight, and the way only one strike was thrown, and his leg was broken.
Yeah, I mean,
his foot touched his thigh, so he kicked him in the calf. It broke, and I heard something snap when he kicked. I didn't know it broke until I saw him put his foot down. He didn't know it was broken until he put his foot down. That's the scary part.
Well, it's all the adrenaline. That's what you have to attribute that to. It's all the adrenaline, the blood rushing through your body. You ever see like guys like where soldiers get shot in battle and they don't even know they're shot until after because the adrenaline's rushing so much. So a lot of the times these injuries that there's little dinky ones that go unnoticed. Like you might end up with a few broken ribs after the fight and you didn't even know you had them. You know, you might have a broken jaw, didn't even know you had it, right? But stuff like this where you put it down and he just falls. And what was so interesting about this was the fact that the exact same thing happened, but in Chris Weidman's favor. Chris Weidman was in Uriah Hall's shoes when Anderson Silva was fighting him. And everyone was saying, you know, Weidman doesn't really have a chance against Silva because Silva was just on a run, 13 title fights in a row, goes against Weidman. He's on top of the world. That might have been the highest peak I've ever seen a UFC fighter at was Anderson Silva in the mid-2010s, early 2010s. But he goes against Weidman, throws that kick. Just like what happened to Weidman against Hall, it wraps around right around his leg, and that was basically the end of Anderson Silva as we know it. So this is really scary. You know, Weidman's 36. He's not getting any younger. Is this the end of Chris Weidman, Ryan?
I know he was battling a couple injuries before this season or before this match, and then coming in, I know they were hyping him up, saying this is his first match in a while. So let's see if he gets back into form. I mean, he only took, like I said, it was only one strike, but he broke his leg. How much recovery is this going to take? We don't know. And by the end of the recovery, is he going to be motivated to want to fight again? Now, obviously, I would love to see him fight again. I mean, Weidman, like you said, in the early to mid-2000s, or mid-2010s, he was a fantastic fighter.
Oh, he was phenomenal. He was right up there with, you know, he was a top 10 fighter at the time, you know. He was right up there, you know, if maybe top 15. Let's be fair, maybe a top 15 fighter around that time. And he was an unbelievable wrestler and a good striker as well. But man, I'll tell you, these new age leg kicks, the calf kicks, which have been a revelation in the last 2-3 years. Are we going to see a lot more of these types of injuries happen on calf kicks, or was this a freak injury, do you think?
This is definitely I mean, we all saw Uriah Hall's reaction. He was shook. He was shaking. I don't know if you saw. Or
oh, yeah. I saw. Yeah, he's shaking.
He's in his corner, and he's looking at his trainer, and he's shaking.
Yeah, you don't want to see it as a competitor. And Uriah Hall is such a good guy. He's such a good dude. I don't know if you've ever seen any interviews with him. He's just a very humble guy. He was a guy who was getting bullied as a kid, and that's why he learned martial arts. That's why he originally went in and started training, is because he was getting bullied and he wanted to be able to protect himself. And coming from a poor background, you know, he was a little kid. He got relatively big, relatively late, probably about 17, 18. He hit a little growth spurt and ended up where he's at. I believe he's like 6'1" or so, right around there. But he was a really small guy. He was getting picked on, and all these bullies would just beat him up, and he couldn't do anything. So he's really like a very humble, very good, just a good human being, you know. And even he said, listen, all the respect to Chris Weidman. He's a legend of the sport, which I mean, he is. Chris Weidman is one of the best.
So the next fight, or our first championship fight of the night. How do you say their name? Andrade. It was Andrade.
No, it was the Brazilian, the butch lesbian Brazilian against Shevchenko, the master killer. I mean, what the fuck? Actually, Shevchenko is on another level. It is unbelievable. There's only one girl. There's only one girl who's even on her level, and it's Amanda Nunes. Like, what does that say for Shevchenko? She went 5 rounds with Nunes, and then she went another time. She went 3 rounds with her. Now, they asked Dana after the fight, "Hey, do you want to match these girls up? Do you want to have Nunes and Shevchenko fight again at 135?" And he said, "Listen, it's up to them. Right now, no. Like, they're in different divisions and stuff. Obviously, Shevchenko moved down to 25, and she's been the champion there for a little bit. And
title defenses now.
Huh?
7 title defenses now.
Yeah, she's pretty legit, if you ask me.
Part about the fight last night is that she's known for more, like she's a striker. She's a dominant wrestler. Well, she is a dominant wrestler too, but they were saying that pre-fight that Andrade was trying to. She thought her advantage of the game or the match would have been in the grappling section or the bottom game, and Chanko just said, "Okay, let me show you. I can do that."
Yeah, let me show you what wrestling is.
And then in the second round, my stream cut out in the second round, but I think we got to see the replay of her putting her in the cradle and just dominating.
Yeah, I mean, that's Shevchenko. That's what she does. She just finds a way to win. She just has that knack where she'll find a position, and she's done this throughout her career so many times. There's been 3 or 4 times where it's like, oh, there's no chance that this woman even wins the fight. Like, you step in there and you look and you're just like, after the first minute, it's like so apparent how long is Shevchenko gonna take to get her out of here. Not how long is the other person gonna last. How long is Shevchenko going to give her until she decides that, all right, enough is enough. Let me just end this.
And the sad part, this woman had the best odds since Shenko's first title fight to beat her. There's some other odds. One was 1,400, minus 1,700, and even minus 2,500. This woman was at minus 450 for this fight. So the best odds since, like I said, the first title fight.
Yeah.
Still looked like she had no chance.
Yeah, it wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. And that's not to say Andrade isn't any good, because she's a very talented grappler. But if you watch, there was a size difference. It was real. It was a very real thing. Is when she went for the leg and she went to lift, she couldn't lift her up. She just didn't have the raw strength to get her in the air and then put her on the ground and get the top game and do what she's best at. She wasn't able to get that position, and it just. I don't know where to go from here if you're Shevchenko. She's gonna have to fight Nunes in like a year or something. They might have to give it a little time, but that would be a fight everyone wants to see. If Shevchenko just keeps running through this division, Shevchenko versus Nunes. I don't know about you guys, but I would love to see that on the main card as the main event. That would be unbelievable.
I think that could be a headliner for one of the UFCs in the near future.
Oh yeah. Now, what did you think about the Wei Li versus Rose fight there?
Wei Li. Take the loss. Come on now. I mean, that was a great kick by Rose. Right to the side of the face, right in the jaw. She was asleep. She said she was fine. She said I was.
She was gone. She was out. She was just in denial.
The replay, and she folded like a lawn chair. Like she was.
On top of that, let me add this. On top of that, when she's on the ground, she's not covering up like this. Her hands are down. She's just eating punches. So what's the first rule? What's the first rule that the refs tells the fighters, Ryan? Do you know?
If you can't defend, you're not able.
Yeah, it's protect yourself at all times.
Yeah.
Protect yourself, and she wasn't protecting herself. The fight had the end.
Yeah.
Clear, end of discussion, boom, bing. That's it. That's
Now,
the end of the discussion.
it's back into consciousness very fast, yes. But
she was gone for that 15 to
For
20 seconds.
I would even say 10 seconds. For that 10-second period, that 10-second window, she could not fight. And I meant her. Yeah. No, I do. I do amend her for saying that she does want to fight. And I do think this will be a rematch.
Yeah, oh yeah, you're gonna see a rematch here because Wei Li, I don't know if you saw Wei Li's other championship fights, but against especially Joanna, unbelievable. That was one of the best fights I've ever seen in the UFC in general. They were just going at each other, just chin, 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 chin. Neither of them went down. That was an unbelievable fight, and Wei Li showed the heart of a champion. So I believe that if she goes in there against Rose, and Rose is the first woman to become a champion again after losing the title, by the way. That's another headline that's kind of went under the radar. But I want to see this Wei Li versus Rose rematch. And I'll tell you what, I do think that Wei Li is a better fighter than Rose. I think she just got
Rose just caught her off guard.
Yeah, she just caught her with a shot. It reminded me a lot of Cormier versus Stipe the first time when Cormier just caught him with a shot in the first round and he went down. But I do believe that Wei Li is the better fighter. So, potentially in a rematch, I think that Wei Li gets the win and she becomes the second woman to reclaim a championship after losing it. So,
match will be. Do you think they give Rose another title defense before this one, or do you think they just throw her right back into it?
Well, Wei Li was such a good champion that I think you got to look at the division. I think there's a couple matches that need to play out. I think you have the number 2 contender now against like the number 4 coming up. That's a fight on a fight night coming up, I believe. Now after that, maybe it's either the winner of that or it's a rematch with Wei Li. I want to see a Wei Li rematch. Now, does Rose want to do that? I don't know. I'm not so sure. Because it was kind of dominant. She hit her and it was over. Yeah. Now, because do you want to put in a 6-week training camp, devote almost 2 months of your life into, well, what am I talking about, 6 weeks? More like an 8 to 10 week training camp to fight a woman that you knocked out in under a minute. So what you got a lot of option here. There's a lot of different, roads you could take right here. I think you wait for the winner of that fight, and then it's either the winner of that or Wei Li. I think that makes sense. But I think Wei Li does deserve it because she was such a good champion.
And then finally, the last match tonight, Kamaru Usman, maybe the most hated champion in UFC history.
I beg to differ. He's not hated. I think people just don't really, for whatever reason, they just don't like him. There's just
they don't respect this greatness.
Oh, okay. I respect him.
Well, I do.
Yeah, he's unbelievable.
The party that I was at tonight, the watch party I was at last night, everyone wanted Masvidal to win.
Well, yeah, because it's Masvidal. It's 3 Jesus. What do you, come on.
Well, I was sitting there. Usman walks out, and they're all booing him, along with the crowd down in Jacksonville, Florida. Not the first time we're gonna headline something this week. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, everyone booing him, and I go, I mean, you can boo him all you want. He's gonna win this fight.
Did you bet on Usman?
I did not bet on Usman. I should have, but I
had a gut feeling that Masvidal was gonna win, and it looked like he was. Am I wrong? Tell me if I'm wrong. Did he not win the first round?
I will say, watching the intros and watching Bruce Buffer announce them, Masvidal was in his homeland. He was 300 miles north of his hometown. He seemed like he was. It seemed primed for Masvidal to take this fight. It really did.
I agree.
But then Usman just hit him with nice left hook fake, grabbed his hand, and then slid with the straight. And
yeah, it was really disappointing for me though that Masvidal got so cocky to the point where, listen, I know you don't respect the guy as a striker, which obviously you should. He's not a great striker, but I'll tell you what I did see from Usman is when he throws that overhand right, he ducks his head down right around the hip area. So he'll be down here and he'll throw that very, beginner striking type stuff. And he's going to get caught with Jorge could have caught him with a nice uppercut, and that is going to shut his lights out. And that's how Usman is going to lose in one of his fights. Is he's going to be throwing an overhand right. The guy's going to slip and either hit him with a left hook right on the chin or a right uppercut right on the chin.
Well, I don't
That's
know
how Usman is going to lose, because I watched it and I said, oh, that's a tell right there. Every time he throws the overhand right, his head goes down to like where his rib, like hip area is.
And the funny part, when Masvidal got knocked out, he still almost hit him with some sort. It wasn't like an uppercut,
and he hit him with a straight.
Yeah, so he hit him with the straight landed before his punch.
Straight just landed first.
But I don't know if you saw this morning, Conor McGregor went online.
Oh boy, I have no idea. So this is new news. This is a.
Okay, so he went on Twitter. He called out Usman. He said, "So now you're going to act like me. Now you're going to take my moves. I guess if you're going to take my moves and act like me, I guess I have to come down to 170 and teach you how to do it." So McGregor.
Conor, no.
McGregor wants Usman. How do you feel about that?
McGregor.
Well, he's at, if I'm not mistaken, he's in the light heavyweight or heavyweight?
Who?
As of right now, McGregor.
McGregor's in lightweight.
He's in lightweight, so that's 185?
155.
He's in 155, so he wants to go up to welterweight.
He wants to go up to 170. He did fight one fight there unofficially against Donald Cerrone.
And he won.
It was a 155 bout, but they fought it at 170. And the reason why they did that was because he wanted to prove, because someone asked Dana, could you ever put Jorge against Conor? And they said, no, Jorge's way too big for Conor. Conor wanted to prove him otherwise, to say, hey, I can fight at 170. So he fought Donald Cerrone in a 155 bout, but they were fighting at 170.
And he beat him in.
And he beat Cerrone very easily at 170.
Yeah.
So, but still, McGregor is a prime 145er. He fights at 55 now, but the best he ever was when he was at 45. He had so much power and quickness compared to everyone else. It was unbelievable to watch. Now as a 55er, he's really good. He's not the best. We'll see. I think in his comeback fight, you're going to see a lot more karate stances from him. You're going to see a lot more of those kicks that he was well known for in the beginning. But moving off of that, Usman is no joke. McGregor, don't get me wrong, McGregor's one of the all-time greats. Usman would wipe the floor with McGregor at 170.
Yes.
That's not even his weight class. That's not his weight class. He's a 155er.
Yeah.
And Usman isn't quite as good or dominant as Khabib was at his weight or whatever. But if you see what McGregor did, and he's an all-time great. Khabib is the best 55er ever, and he took a round from Khabib, and that was a big deal. Now, what if he goes up to a weight class where a guy is getting comparisons to GSP, unwarranted, might I add? He's not as good as GSP. Everyone knows it. GSP was beating champion after champion. It was unbelievable. But what you see is Usman is not like Khabib, but he's very, very dominant in that sense, where like he's a very dominant fighter. He doesn't lose many rounds. And
he plays
McGregor to go up there and weight class and beat a guy. I
have to explain Usman's fighting. It's not that he's the most exciting fighter. I mean,
it's calculated.
Yeah, he's very calculated. He wants to win the round. So, if this went a couple more rounds, I mean, we can't predict what would have happened. But that first,
I think Masvidal was going to win. Well, it looked like Masvidal had all like the momentum on his side.
Yeah, but I think off of what Usman did, I mean, he got a stumble, and then he did take down Masvidal in the first round. So I think you got to give that to Usman. I think they were pretty even striking-wise. Obviously, the momentum was with Masvidal, but because what Usman did, like taking him to the ground, and he did get him with a wobble. I forgot, I think it was a left hook he got with.
Who? Masvidal or Usman?
Usman got Masvidal like early on.
I think it was with a left straight. It was with just the power. It was like a power jab, much like Ngannou did to Stipe.
Masvidal smiled after it.
Yeah,
he wobbled a little bit, but then he smiled after because he was being cocky all night.
But that's Masvidal. You know, that's Masvidal. That's what he does.
Well, I don't know if you saw Colby Covington after the fight. He was with I forget her name, but he was with her, and she was like, "What'd you see from the fight?" And he was like, "Well, Jorge Masvidal, he has like 15, 20 fights lost. Like I can lose 15 in a row, and I'll still be a better fighter than Jorge Masvidal." So,
Well, I don't know if you know this. Him and Jorge used to be best friends. They used to live together, and then they went to different gyms. Kobe went to a different gym, and ever since they've been like really like at odds. Like they were brothers. Like they were very very close friends. Like where you'd consider family. They would do everything together. They would train together, hang out together. They lived together. They were close with each other's girlfriends or wives at the time. You know, like they were very very good friends. So you know, there's a big
but
backstory behind it.
Usman, he said, "I want to face Usman again," and he was basically
He
like, he
no,
said,
yeah,
"I can't be celebrating a fight like this because Jorge's old and washed. You should celebrate after you beat me."
yeah. Well, let
So,
me just explain this. So I went last night after the Masvidal fight, and I did everyone a service by watching the Colby versus Usman fight again. Usman won in a fifth round TKO against Covington, but it was 2-2 going into the fifth. And there's a judge that on the actual scorecard that had it 3-1 Covington going into the fifth. I had it the first round for Covington, the second and third for Usman, and the fourth for Covington. And Covington was winning the fifth until he got hit with a shot, and it was pretty much he was standing there, but his lights were out. And he couldn't move anymore. He just got hit with one and he rung his bell too much. So uh, what we learned that night was that the two best welterweights in the world are Colby Covington and Kamaru Usman. What we're gonna find out in the rematch is can Covington put it all together?
yes.
That's
So
basically
you expect the rematch to happen before the end of 2021? Or do you
yes.
think?
I'm gonna. Well, Kamaru's gonna take off some time because he's fought twice really quickly. I believe he fought in what February.
He fought in February, and I think he took this fight like the next week.
So I'd say he's going to take a little while off. He's fought a lot recently. Um, you know, we all watched him fight Masvidal in August, I believe. He fought, or was that in July? I can't remember. He fought Masvidal in like July, then fought in February, and then now he fought here. He'll fight again in around September, October-ish, maybe. A September, October area, right around there, probably around early fall, mid fall.
Okay.
And I see a Colby Covington fight, but that would mean that Covington wouldn't have fought for a year almost because Covington fought in November or October, so that would be a year off, a complete year for Covington. Um, that's a long time.
So do you think maybe they give Usman another competitor and like Kobe fight someone? Like
No,
a Burns or
no,
a
no,
now they just go
because
straight.
Burns is already matched up with Wonder Boy Thompson, and that's going to be a great fight. Um, yeah, I just don't see it. I don't see it. I see the only fight you can make is Usman versus Covington. That's unless barring injury, that's the only thing you can make that makes sense. There's no other. Covington should have had this fight, in my opinion. It was ridiculous that Jorge got a rematch like this quickly. Like maybe if Masvidal goes out and beats someone else, and then they were like, "All right, money grab. You know, let me get the money." But this was kind of unwarranted. This was Colby's fight that Masvidal got. He was kind of ridiculous in my eyes.
Well, it was a good fight. No loss. So
Yeah, I mean, it was good that they answered the question on 6 days' notice. Was it the fact that he was on 6 days' notice, or was Usman just better? Usman was just better. He put him away, just like he said he wanted to do. He said he had a bad taste in his mouth. He let it go all 5 rounds. And that was the first time in Jorge's career. I don't know if you know this, but he's been finished.
yep, it was his first knockout career. So
That's unbelievable. And that really humbled him. You saw him. It humbled him. He was like, you know what? All credit to Usman. God bless him. You know, he's great. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. So we went over UFC 261. FGs and Knees is coming to an end. I wanted to thank you. Ryan, do you have anything else to say?
I had fun.
Yeah, I did have fun talking UFC. Let us know in the comments if you want to see us do this more often. This is really a big passion of mine, watching.
And the next UFC main title fight, whatever you want to call it, 262, May 15th.
Michael Chandler against Oliveira. Ferguson and Danush is on that card. Diaz Edwards is on that card. Very good card.
Ferguson is washed. Tony Ferguson is washed.
He's old. He's very old. I agree. What? All right, everyone. Thank you for watching. Have a good day and goodbye.